In this video, I'll be reviewing your Pokemon, and more specifically, this is a submission posted by Geit. I assume that's the way we pronounce the name here, and the first Pokemon is Gardevoir. This Gardevoir seems to have been evolved twice. It is currently level 33. The ingredient list is double corn, and we have a couple interesting subskills. Although the first thing we're going to have a look at is actually the nature, and that is the big portion of the discussion when it comes to this Gardevoir. Because if you look at the subskills, this is pretty much pristine. We have skill trigger S, we have skill trigger M, we also have the helping speed S, and inventory. That is basically perfect. You cannot find better subskills, in my opinion, for a skill specialist. And you can also reveal that it's got an ingredient finding S here at level 100. The only thing that really means is you can subskill seed the helping speed S into M, and at that point in time, you have a very strong Gardevoir. Now, in my opinion, the gold standard for a strong skill specialist, not necessarily pristine, but worthwhile of an investment, is main skill chance up nature, skill trigger M, and helping speed M. If you also have some inventory in there as well, that could be beneficial. And in this case, you're essentially trading off the late inventory with the skill trigger S that makes up for the lack of a main skill chance up nature. Now, main skill chance up nature overall is going to be a lot stronger than skill trigger S, but they are somewhat comparable. And so, to an extent, with the inventory coming a little bit later, you've kind of hit the mark here in terms of what you should look for, generally speaking, when it comes to skill specialists. Now, the thing with Gardevoir is it is among the most important Pokemon in the game, and depending on potential energy mechanic changes in the future, I think overall this Gardevoir could be better, although depending if you're free to play or premium plus, or somewhere in the middle, this could be a worthwhile investment. If you compare this just point blank to a strong Wigglytuff, you probably come out better. And so overall, I would say this is a nice find. It probably saves you some resources too towards other hunts. If this hasn't taken you all that long, who knows? But yeah, let's see what you write in your message. If you could rate these and give advice if I should invest further on Guard and Dragonite, or if it's better advice to wait for better. Right. Yeah, I mean, overall, that Gardevoir is not bad at all. And the main thing you're looking for there are the skill triggers. And if you can get it level 50 and you use the sub-skill seed to get that speed M, then eventually get it to level 75 for that extra inventory, then it's going to be a really nice Gardevoir. And so the comparison here is, let's say we null out the inventory and we make a very quick change. So just take a snapshot here in your mind, 6.4% on the skill rate. Nothing's changing with the speed, it's just the skill rate. Look what happens when we take away skill trigger S and add the main skill chance up nature. So we're swapping skill trigger S with the main skill chance up nature, and this is how it looks like. So it goes from 6.46 to 6.85. And so you can see there is a slight jump. So this is what I'm trying to showcase here with the numbers is if you got that inventory earlier instead and had the main skill chance up nature, overall you would be better ahead. You would get the inventory sooner. You would have a stronger skill trigger overall. And then obviously you could potentially swap out the helping speed M here. Maybe it looks more like this. So you have a much higher skill rate, but lower speed. For most calculations, this is the most in terms of the productions. But yeah, you could potentially run out of inventory too if it's too fast and the productions are too weak comparatively. You run out of highway or runway. And so, yeah, we can see if we go back here to the, was it quirky? Yes. Doesn't really matter, it's neutral either way, but you can see the difference here is not all that great. And you're kind of hitting all those spots. I would say if you don't already have a very strong healer, this is a home run. Just go for it, and I don't think you'll look back. God forbid in the future mints are introduced, then you'll be really, really ahead, because at that point, imagine this. You get it to level 75, you sub-skill seed, and you just use the careful mint, and oh boy, do you have a Gardevoir. So those are my thoughts. Maybe you guys in the comments have some inputs on this one as well. It's not always a black or white answer to these. Next Pokemon is the Dragonair, which was also mentioned here. So we're just going to plot in the Dragonite, and we can see that the level currently is 24. I'm just going to zoom it to level 50, and then we can remove some of these sub-skills. Oops, I managed to put an N into here. There we go. The nature is quiet. It is a bit of an oof when you have an experience gains down nature on a pseudo or legendary Pokemon, because that is a lot more resources that you have to dump into it. In this case though, the nature overall is very positive. You have an ingredient specialist with an ingredient finding up nature, so that is amazing. The list here we can reveal is ABA. So there's some corn coming through at level 30, and then it's more herbs again at level 70. We can then have a look at the sub-skills, which is one of the more important things. It's got ingredient finding S. It's got inventory L, huge inventory on this Dragonite. And then it's got ingredient, if I can type, ingredient finding M. And at that point, you have a crazy inventory, crazy ingredient rate, and at level 60 this is going to be an absolute monster. 75, if you can get it there, you have even more healing, and at level 100 you can even sub-skill seed that helping speed S into helping speed M. So long term, a very strong Dragonite. Generally speaking, when it comes to analyzing Dragonite, a lot of people will prefer a weaker set of sub-skills if it has the berry finding. Some people will compromise the ingredient list if it has the berry finding, just because it is fairly fast. It has a strong berry, but as you can see here with the ingredient rate, having berry finding would actually be negative because of these stacked ingredient finding traits. You can see it's close to 50% on the ingredient rate, and that is ridiculous. And I don't know if I can actually access my website with the current setup. I'm gonna give it a shot, and if I am successful, we will be able to have a look at the average ingredient lists, which can be kind of cool. All right, let's see. It's up and running. Let's go. So welcome to nirtheart.com, still in development. We can go to sleep style decks, we can go to ingredients, and we can find Dragonite. Now I'm going to hide the cursor. That one's not useful. And then we can see that it had an ABA ingredient list. So herb, corn, herb. And at that point, we are looking at the ABA 577. The average ingredient drop for an ABA, just looking at the pure value of it, is the lowest of all the combinations, unfortunately. In this case, though, I don't think that matters a whole lot just because of how many ingredient triggers you got stacked on this Dragonair. And so, in my opinion, it probably is not among the biggest factors. You may want to consider the hunt for a mono herb Dragonite that maybe even has the berry finding. That's quite the rare find though, but it's always possible. But I mean, if you don't already have a strong Beware, I might consider this, just because all of the things here are stacked in your favor. You have the ingredient finding up nature, huge. You have ingredient finding M and S, and some inventory tucked in by level 50. And so overall, this is going to be a very strong Dragonite candidate. So the biggest considerations here are, do you have a Beware? Do you have a Gengar? The Beware produces, for the most part, corn. And Gengar is kind of an interesting one. You can either go mono herb or add some mushrooms into the mix, depending on what you want. But in terms of the Dragonite, it has a strong berry. In this case, it doesn't really matter too much because of the high ingredient rate. Got all the triggers, you got inventory, still decent. I mean, you have the level 60 drop, which is the most important. And yeah, depends on your collection. Maybe we can have a further conversation about this Dragonair in specific in the Rate My Mon text channel in Nirtheart. And then we can hop on to the third and final Pokemon of this video, which is Flareon. Nice. I love Flareon. Flareon has become one of my favorite Pokemon in Pokemon Sleep. Let's see what you got in terms of the Flareon. I already see the berry finding, so you have a little bit of an edge on my Flareon comparatively. I assume you've evolved it at least once. That's how the Flareon goes. You have a sassy nature, so you like your EXP gains down natures, that's for sure. And it has 25 inventory. And at that point, are you looking at 1,000 hours? You are, that's huge. You really are using this Flareon, aren't you? So there's the berry finding and the skill trigger M. And at that point, whoa, my bad. At that point, you can basically just take the hands off the decision board and just smile. You've got a good combo here. Berry finding stacks well with Entei. Main skill chance up nature and skill trigger M. Just the gold standard for the most part. The only thing you would want is a little bit more speed. But you don't need that. You got skill trigger S to 50. So this is a home run of a Flareon and makes a lot of sense. You even have the lower volumes of ingredients produced here. You have a double cacao list. Let's see if we can do that. Nope. There we go. You have the ABB list on the Flareon. Huge fan of that. That just means you have more inventory in your runway. And level 75, you have ingredient finding M, which I actually don't mind on the Flareon. Then you have another ingredient finding, which is huge. So this Flareon is actually going to produce quite a bit of stuff. The only thing I could see as a potential problem here is that inventory. Although, because this Flareon is not particularly fast, I don't think that's going to be a major concern. Just because you have skill trigger S, you have skill trigger M, you have the main skill chance up nature, and at that point, within 25, you might even stretch this to 2000, to be honest. And at that point, that's going to be just fine. You get a lot of berries, a lot of cacao, actually, and not a bad Pokemon at all. One of the best Flareons I've ever seen, so congratulations. I'm very happy on your behalf, and I can see that it's cooking power up main skill level 7. So I would assume you've also just not been too interested in powering up that cooking pot, because this Flareon is going to give you a lot of cover for those bigger dishes. With this type of high skill rate, you can probably just put it on your team for an hour or something like that and be ready for the next meal, get a bunch of berries, a bunch of cacao, and just be happy. So that's quite the home run. I think that was the best Pokemon you've shown in your set by far. But the Gardevoir was not bad. And I think also the Dragonite is quite nice. It just depends on how you want to go about the ingredient production. So overall, I hope you've enjoyed this analysis and that you've found it at least entertaining or useful. And for everyone else, you can leave a big old thumbs up if you want to see more videos like this in the future, and I'll keep them coming. So thank you for watching.